Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is one that was requested, and it is the differences between New Zealand and the USA. Because we are both English speaking countries, a lot of things are culturally the same, but there are some things that I've noticed that are a lot of times quite funny, because it'll be things like I'll say something and no one will know what it means, or they'll be like, that's not a thing here. So without further ado, here are the differences between New Zealand and the USA. Firstly, there is basically no American equivalent to the word slice when you're talking about baking. In New Zealand we have peppermint slice, we have caramel slice, lolly cake is considered a slice, and so when I try to make all these things for my host family, they don't know what that means, and there is no other word I can think of that means the same thing. And for some reason square and bar just don't really do it. Americans always tell me that it is really cute how I say pardon or sorry instead of like what, which is really strange to me because in New Zealand everyone says pardon because we're taught that it's rude to say what. Another difference is how Americans say bless you when you sneeze, even if they don't know you. And I mean, we get a bit of that in New Zealand if you're like buying groceries and you sneeze, and then like the checkout lady will be like, oh bless you. But Americans have this like sneeze detector, and it's like automatic. As soon as they hear a sneeze, they'll be like, bless you, even if they don't know you, even if they can't see you. And I'm not like saying that to complain about it, because it's actually a really nice thing to do. I found out shortly after I came here that the New Zealand way of saying like, oh, I don't mind, when asked like which one you'd rather do or like what you'd rather have, is not a thing. Instead of saying I don't mind, they say I don't care. And that was weird to me, because to me, if I was to say like I don't care, that sounds like rude coming from me, but to them, I don't mind sounds more rude than I don't care. I don't know how different it is in other high schools in the US, but in my high school we have the same classes in the same order every day. So whatever class I have first period, I have it first period every day, which is kind of good because then it's easier to remember your schedule. But it's also not as good because the time that my brain is like working is in the middle of the day. So in like first period and 7th and 8th period, I'm like super tired. So having those same classes when I'm tired is probably meaning that I'm not doing as well as I could be if I had a block schedule. But I mean, I'm not really taking many academic classes anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Something that I really enjoy actually is the fact that there's no uniform in the USA. And I mean, it's a lot easier to have a uniform because you don't have to get up and decide what to wear. But I'm someone who really enjoys fashion, and I really enjoy getting to choose what I want to wear every day. And the last 2 years before I came here, I was basically just switching between my school uniform and my work uniform, and I was barely ever getting to wear normal clothes. So it's been super great being able to like go shopping and get to pick out outfits that I could actually wear. Something that I've had to adapt to is calling chips fries. And when I imagine fries, I imagine McDonald's, and I don't like think about any other kind of fries because I'm so used to calling like thick cut fries chips, like hot chips. And when I first came here, I was still used to calling them chips, and everyone tells me it's just so irrational to call them both chips, like hot chips and potato chips. But when you grow up calling them both chips, you can just tell which kind you're talking about. You don't even really need to specify. You can usually tell with the context. Another one of those is lollies and candy. So in New Zealand we call candy lollies, and we call chocolate chocolate. And so I found out that when I say lollies in America, they just think I'm talking about lollipops and not anything else. So I've started saying candy as well, because it's a lot easier than having to explain what I mean by lollies. Oh my gosh, something I found out like the other day is that hip hip hooray is not a thing in America. It was someone's birthday and we were singing to them in drama, and then as we finished I was like, hip hip hooray, and my friend next to me just like looked at me and she's like, what was that? And they don't say that, and that's so crazy to me because I don't know, it's just like everybody says hip hip hooray after you sing happy birthday. I just don't get it. I don't get it. And then I came home and I told my host sister that happened in drama, and then we were watching an Australian TV show that night and they did the same thing. They did the hip hip hooray, and I was like, see, I told you it's a thing. Oh, something about America that if you're going on exchange you need to know this is that phone plans are so expensive. Most of the exchange students I know here pay $50 American a month for their text, call and data plan, because it's so hard to find a provider that will let you have a cell phone plan without being in a family plan or a contract. And in New Zealand you could just go into like a Vodafone or a telecom store and you could get a plan for like $15-20 a month that gets you data, text and calling. So luckily my host only has a family plan that they could just add me into, so I only pay $15 a month. But I am so lucky about that because not everyone's host families will let you come into their family plan because you have to like pay them the money and you might not like pay them or something. But yeah, that's something you'll definitely need to like plan for if you're coming on exchange. When I first got here I was doing washing and then I asked for some pegs to hang out my washing with, and not only do Americans call them clothespins, but my host sister thought I said pigs and I was asking for pigs instead of pegs because of my accent. So apparently New Zealanders say their E's like I's, and that has been a funny moment a lot of times, especially when I am referring to a deck of cards. Yeah. Something else that strikes me as super weird is that you can buy hard liquor from the grocery store. So in New Zealand, and I know in Australia as well, if you want to buy anything other than beer, wine or cider, you have to go to a liquor store. So it's super weird to me that you can just go to the grocery store and buy a bottle of vodka. In New Zealand we have like barely any wild predators. The only like wild predators we have are wild cats that are like the size of house cats. They're literally like wild house cats, and like stoats and possums. And the possums aren't even like as bad as the possums here. They're actually like pretty cute and they're only really a threat on the wildlife and the trees and stuff. So there's not really any animals or like spiders or snakes or anything that can hurt you in New Zealand. Whereas here we've had like bobcats sitting on our driveway and like bears coming in and breaking into the garage and deer constantly on the road, and then we hit a deer and there's just things everywhere that can hurt you. And like I don't feel unsafe because they don't like target humans, but when I tell Americans that we don't have bears and we don't have mountain lions or bobcats or tigers or anything that can just roam free, they're so confused and they're like, well, you don't have anything that can hurt you? And we don't really. Something else that is funny but I barely notice is that where I say bean, Americans say bin. So if I was going to say where have you been, they would say where have you been. Oh, and another thing, I always say there's like heaps of something, like there's heaps of cars or there's heaps of people, and I guess if you were to picture heaps of people you would picture people like piled on top of each other, so I guess it is weird. I think that is all the differences that I can think of right now. There's probably a ton that I've missed. In fact, there is definitely a ton that I've missed, but maybe there could be a part 2. I think one of my next videos I want to make a Q&A, so if you have any questions at all about being an exchange student or living in America, or just basically anything at all, please leave it in the comment below and I will include it in my video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and click that subscribe button if you want to see more videos from me. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, or you can contact me on my social media. My Snapchat's deannahayley and my Instagram is also deannahayley. And as always, thank you so much for watching and I will see you guys next time. So without further ado, here are the differences between New Zealand and Australia.